my name is Lauren Invick. I am the Associate Editor of Marketing and Media at Mashable. Here at Mashable, we're passionate about innovation in the news media industry. And so we took note when iPad-only publication, The Daily, launched to the public earlier this year. Today, we're joined by Greg Clayman, publisher of The Daily. Prior to joining The Daily, Greg was Executive Vice President for MTV Networks. He also saw the MTV Networks Mobile Media Group, helping the company's brands develop and distribute mobile content and applications. Today at Mashable Connect, he will be speaking about information design and creating new experiences for consuming news. Without further ado, here's Greg Clayman.
Hi, thanks. Here's my clicker. I'm Greg, the publisher of The Daily. This is an example. I assume that everybody out here has iPads and you're all avid subscribers and you all know exactly who we are and what we do. But just in case you don't, this is some examples of some of the type of content that we have. We started the publication of this on February 2nd of this year. In fact, we had our 100th issue yesterday. And there's a whole lot that we've done and managed to accomplish since then, and some interesting things we've learned. And I just want to kind of take you through some of that now. First of all, the first thing that we get asked a lot is why? Like, what's the opportunity? Why are we doing this? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? We believe that there's a real paradigm shift when it comes to consumption of media. We believe that tablets change the way in which people consume media, change the time in which people consume media. And we think there's an incredible opportunity to use that new platform to be able to create content in different ways, different types of content targeting different audiences, tell stories in different ways, and bring news and information to people in ways that really haven't been possible for. Quite frankly, we also think that we're at the beginning of an exploding market. In 2010, there were 15 million iPads that were sold. As of today, there are probably about 10 million in the US. We expect those numbers to double, to triple, to quadruple in the coming years, especially as you start to move beyond iPads to Android devices, Galaxy tabs, for example, that Google just gave away at their I/O conference. We think it's the very beginning of what is going to be a very, very, very large market. In terms of what's in the actual Daily, in terms of what it is, if you haven't seen it, we've got 7 main sections. Some of these are very familiar to sort of newspaper, magazine readers, news, business, gossip, opinion. We also have sections like apps and games that focus on reviews for applications and news about applications and games for iPad and iOS type devices. We kind of treat apps the way that other media companies might treat film or TV. People that have these devices are obsessed, speaking as one of them, with the apps for the devices themselves, so we cover that in depth. And of course, we have sports. We do over 100 pages of original content every day. And I mean, by original content, I'm talking about 360-degree pictures, video. We do some HTML5 interactivities. We have data visualizations. If you look at like what Wired magazine or what some of those guys are doing on a monthly basis, our goal is to do that on a daily basis, which is hard. And it's something that we've been, that's our goal. We've been able to do original HD videos. We're going to have about 5,000 videos produced a year is the pace that we're on. And I'll show you some examples of some of those. But things like immersive photography, things like interactive charts, infographics, the ability to share information as well, even though you've got this incredible device and content looks incredible on it, and we've got a team of over 100 editors working with this device, you're still, in many instances, connected to the internet, connected to other people, so sharing is very important. And then, of course, things like sports and weather, games, and crossword puzzles. This is very interesting. And actually the first time that we've showed this. We have subscribers throughout the country. Every state there are subscribers to our product. And what you're looking at is actually a map that gives you weights as to where some of the most subscribers are. We get this information from our subscribers who come to us through Apple. And we expected, right, there'd be a lot of people on the East Coast, there'd be a lot of people on the West Coast, early adopters, that's the market, that's where we'll sell. And what we've discovered is that, in fact, we're a national product, we're a national brand. In fact, we discovered that the iPad is very much a national product. It's not that they're weighted in certain markets. I mean, something I think we'll talk a little bit more about later. We have, if you see, as many subscribers in Florida, in Texas, in Colorado, in Tennessee, in Detroit, Chicago, as we do on the West Coast, as we do on the East Coast, which is amazing for us because our goal is to create a national brand, a mass product. And 3 months, 101 days from launch, and we already there. It says a lot about, I think, what we're trying to do. Also says, frankly, a lot about the tablet media and the iPad media in general, and the types of people who are purchasing these devices, and they're not always who you think they are. One of our main points of difference, which I alluded to earlier, is frequency. One of the things that we've learned in research, and we've seen a lot just empirically, is people who have iPad devices, people that have iOS devices, often tend to like new stuff. The most popular app is the App Store, right? And so our goal is to create something new and something different every day. So literally, you look at it today, you look at it tomorrow, you look at it the day after, it's an entirely new experience. We've published over 12,000 pages of content to date in that 3-month time period. And again, sort of 100% new each day, over 100 pages each day. But because we're connected to the web, and because we are an interactive device, currency and timeliness is important. This is AmandaWills.com. She's got a Tumblr blog and is a journalist and writes about journalism. And she took a look at what the cover of tablet publications looked like 15 minutes after the president announced that Osama bin Laden had been killed. And when you looked at, and I just took a screenshot of her site, when you look at what that looked like 15 minutes after the event, on the upper right is the New York Times, and they've got a template that they use, and they fed the story into the template. It wasn't as big as some of the other stories they had. CNN covered it in the bottom right. They sort of went to an obituary that they had on file. NPR has it in one of those little boxes on the upper left. Again, they're sort of feeding it through one assumes a feed they have into their template. But we've got a team of people making original stuff constantly, so we did an entirely new cover. We had 15 pages of content after that. We did infographics on the Navy SEALs, or it's not the Navy SEALs, but on the SEALs and how it is that they did what they did. And it looked like a large, sort of screaming cover, large sort of newspaper cover, minutes after the event happened. We liked that it got called out and it really seemed to be indicative of what it is that we're trying to do. Because the tablet has so many different types of content on it, what we've tried to do in our inspiration in the type of content that we're creating comes from obviously the different worlds that you can, that make up that content: broadcast, web, print. We take different inspirations from these different media. All right, my clicker has stopped working. If somebody could click next, I'd appreciate it. But from broadcast, for example, it is the sort of, oops, there we go. It doesn't matter. From broadcast, it's the kind of lean back experience. It's the engagement that you get. We have people that come to us from networks. We have a lot of video, a lot of broadcast quality video from the web. The responsiveness, the connectedness of it, the social elements of the web we try to bring to it. And in print, there's a lot of richness, a lot of depth you get from print, but also something else that's interesting is that print is finite, meaning when you're finished with the newspaper, you say, I'm done, I have finished this, you throw it away, right? Or you put it on your kitchen table. You're finished a magazine, you have a sense of completion, right? The internet doesn't have a sense of completion, right? I've tried to finish reading the internet. It doesn't work. Right, 4 o'clock in the morning, and someone's screaming at you from the other room to come to bed. Trust me, you can't finish the internet, but you can finish the daily, right? You can read from cover to cover, and you're done. Again, we will update it throughout the day and continue to do that, but the ability to sort of have something that is complete is something that is very important to us and that we find very important to our readers. And our production team that creates this content comes from these worlds. About half of them are from web backgrounds, folks from interactive agencies, Frog, RGA, Barbarian, Razorfish. We have people from AOL, Vanity Fair, Vogue, people from broadcast as well, ABC and MTV. And it's been a really interesting experience sort of getting the different people from the different worlds together to create this thing that is new. Some things work well about that, some things don't always, but that's what we're learning. And I mentioned sharing earlier. We have the ability to share content from within the app. One thing that we get asked a lot is like, you are inside an app, you're inside this device where we cost $1 a week. I mean, it's a paid product. What if I want to share this article? How is it that you expect to be part of the kind of social conversation, send social signals out from your product? So what we do is we basically let you send a tweet or post to Facebook or email any article. We'll create a dynamic web page around that. It's frankly an orphan page that sits there with that article on it. Those articles often get picked up by mainstream media, whether it's CNN, whether it's Judge, what have you, but it also allows people to share and drives traffic to our site. And on our site, we basically then explain what it is the Daily is and encourage people to purchase it. Not everybody has an iPad, we understand that, but again, we're kind of aiming where the ball is going, and we see that market continuing to grow. We're working very, very closely with advertisers. We launched with HBO, Fox, Land Rover, Virgin Atlantic. We have now a whole bunch of others, HP and Tiffany and the like. This is an example of our navigation. One of our main schemas of navigation is a carousel that you can sort of move through to see the stories. You can see that we have ads in the carousel. We kind of put them next to content. We can treat them in a similar way. And here are some examples of some ads that, for example, Virgin Atlantic did. This is an HTML5 ad where you kind of can cycle through. You can see the different things about the cabin. This is an example from HBO. You're going through, it looks like a newspaper, or rather a magazine ad, right? And it's very rich and it's engaging, it's full page. You tilt the iPad and you're watching an HD video that tells you what's coming up. We do a lot of entertainment and media advertising because, again, this is really rich experience and these big full pages that consumers can interact with and engage with. Macy's is sending people to their Twitter and Facebook sites. We're doing something with Gilt Group. We actually work with a lot of advertisers who are also selling or pushing or promoting iPad ads because that's such a great target audience. These are people who have iPads, who have these devices. If you want people to download your app, it's a good place to do it. We can update ads real time. This is an example with Fox Sports where it's talking about a specific game, and you can cycle through what the game is every day, have something different. Land Rover's got lots of different video as well. And this is an example of one of my favorite ads. It's something that Pepsi did. If you click on the bottom of our sports package or our scores package, this small banner expands, and the ad itself, it's like 5 different iPad apps in one. It's pretty amazing. So we'll take a look.
Optimizes Pepsi taste while transporting calories to an island off of Indonesia.
You can put your palm on the iPad, and it sort of pretends to scan it and tells you your future. You can use other things. This is an example. This is the new Pepsi Max bottle, where you zoom into the bottle, and you can sort of zoom closer and closer and closer and see what really makes up Pepsi Max. The answer being Snoop Dogg.
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
I think that Shy Day made this. You can click through again to their Facebook, their Twitter pages, and interact right from within the app, and then you can close out of all of those. It's one of these ads that people end up spending a tremendous amount of time playing with because there's so much stuff you can do. This is an example of some of our editorial features where we did a whole section on saving our schools. We did a whole section on sort of crime wave coming up from Mexico, on America's hidden meltdowns and history of kind of nuclear reactors here, Oscars, Super Bowl. Something that I don't have here, which was terrific. We just did a special section on the royal wedding that was brought to you by Tiffany. So it was this really beautiful, really rich, engaging, original content, pictures, photography, infographics, and these gorgeous Tiffany ads throughout that. We introduced the section, the wedding came and went, and then the section disappeared. And it's that type of real-time changing of what the product is something that we're very into and that our audience is reacting very well to as well. And I mentioned infographics and illustration. This device really lends itself to this type of content. There's something, it might sound cheesy, but there's something very intimate about the iPad. It really is a lean back device. I read somewhere that 20% of iPad usage is in bed. I believe it might be more, right? People tend to use them at night. People use them in the morning. People touch them and interact with them and sort of hold them closer to your body, than you might, for example, a laptop or a device like that. So having the types of content that you can really engage with and move with, and again, use that functionality to zoom, to expand, is something that's important to us. I mean, here's an example.
Right now in Lee
of
County,
something that we
Florida,
just did
it's
around the
possible
housing
to buy a
market.
brand new 4-bedroom, 3-car garage house for just $1 down. Sounds risky, and it is. The $154,000 purchase through a typical lender would require a down payment of $30,000. So who
And you
gets
can see
stuck
we
with the bill
developed
if the
these
deal goes
graphics
wrong?
in this video, for the kind of portrait aspect ratio. There's a version of it that happens in landscape as well, but it's very endemic to the device. And then finally, video. I'd mentioned that we have HD video. We do clips of stuff that already exists as well, but we're shooting a lot of original stuff. You'll see our stuff on YouTube. You'll see our stuff on our own site. You'll see our stuff on Facebook, etc. But the first place that it comes and the first place it exists and where people are going to consume it is in the app itself. And here's just an example of the kind of video that we do.
Welcome to The Daily.
I love my daily.
The Daily's good. The Daily's awesome. I like that The Daily exists.
It was really as simple as we had a partnership with this guy, and the way he acted towards us was so repulsive.
Whiz up, tiz, I'm Izar, Yizu, Vizoin, Tizu, Shiz up, Fizzor, Wizard.
Michelle, we've had our head in the sand.
I've always been a drifter.
When a dancer is in the peak of their career.
A conviction for murder. That's what brought me here.
The battle for the future of Egypt rages on.
Japan's prime minister says the nuclear scare, earthquake, and tsunami add up to the biggest crisis his country has faced since World War II.
That's some of what's on The Daily today.
So again, best of broadcast, best of online interactive, and best of print journalism. Our goal is to bring them together into one product at the beginning of what we see as an explosive market. So thank you very much. I think there's a Q&A, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Yes. Hey, how you doing? Are we sitting?
Actually, I'd like to ask you a few questions, and then I think we'll open up to
Have a
audience
seat.
Q&A. Awesome.
Oh, that's my new about.me page as well, which I put up here, because I did this awesome site and no one's been to it. So I encourage you to check it out.
So the Daily's been publishing for about 3 months now.
Yeah.
What have you learned so far?
It's hard. Creating that much original content on a daily basis is, it just takes a tremendous amount of time and tremendous amount of resources. But the reaction to it has been really incredible, especially from our audience. It's one of these things where we have comments in the, we let people comment directly in the app. We do audio comments as well as obviously text. And we'll create stories. We'll have hundreds of thousands of people who are sort of writing and recording their voices and responding to each other. We have something called a sound off, where we ask a question, right? We'll say like, what do you think of this topic of the day? What do you think of that? We did one around Prince William and his wedding ring, right? Where we said, Prince William isn't wearing a wedding ring. Sound off. What do you think? And some of our audience was incensed. They were like, this is a worthless question. This is below a sound off. How do you dare you do a sound off about that? And we're like, we just created this thing, and already our audience sort of is taking ownership of it. And so the response to original content is something that we're very happy to see. That strong response is something we're very excited about.
So what is it like creating content for tablet versus, say, a web-only or a print publication?
It's funny. It's the thing that we think a lot about is, the first radio, first television programs. For example, were a bunch of people sitting around talking into microphones like they did radio shows, right? Or the first films were stage plays. more or less, that were filmed, and you got from that to Avatar. You know, you got from radio shows to to 3.5 Men. And so, you know, so what is it that's different? Like, how do you create specifically for that medium versus just trying to be an amalgam? What we do is when we're in, literally in editorial meetings throughout the day and looking at a story or looking at an event, there are designers that are in the meeting as well, and there are, frankly, there are game developers who are in the meeting as well. And it's not, because we're starting with a blank slate, it's not, oh, we have a story, and this story has 1,000 words, and let's figure out what neat stuff we can do around it. Sometimes a story is just an image or a series of images. Sometimes a story is a 360 picture. You know, we've been shooting amazing video of a bunch of the floods as the Mississippi River grows, and we've got, we were looking at it backstage, we've got these sort of drones that fly over the flood and can take video down that you really can't see anywhere else. And you know, that content is so compelling in and of itself. That's the story, right? And then of course, yes, we have, you know, people writing a lot of stuff as well, but it's, you know, it's really sort of, you know, targeting the way in which you tell it, the medium for the subject, because you have this amazing palette that frankly we didn't have before.
You talked a little bit about your audience in your presentation, but I mean, I guess the real question is the Daily ahead of its time? Is it too early for, you know, a publication that's, you know, primarily on the tablet?
Yeah, well, you know, our goal was to be first, right? I mean, we are, right? We're the first national daily publication targeting this device. I mean, one of the first national daily publications, period, that's launched for many years. One of the things that we are, and I touched on this earlier, but one of the things that we you know, have discovered is that it's not just, you know, early adopters. It's not just people who are sort of tech geeks who have these devices, right? It's moms and it's dads and it's people that work at desks and it's people that don't work at desks. And there are people that are sort of leapfrogging laptops, right? And I actually met someone yesterday at the park in the Magic Kingdom, and he was an older British gentleman. And of course, I was trying to sell him on the Daily, and you know, he said he didn't have an iPad, but that he'd been thinking of getting a laptop, and now he thought he wasn't going to, right? And he sort of wanted to know what I thought about that. And of course, I was very encouraging, but you know, right? I recommended a lot of apps, but especially one. But you know, when you look at the top news, you know, applications, when you look at the Journal or the Times, or you know, even to a degree, you know, the Flipboards, etc. I mean, no one has their numbers sort of public in terms of downloads, but they're, you know, it's 1.5 million, that sort of stuff. We're in exactly that space as well, right? You know, we are again in 3 months, sort of as large as any of these. In a market that is really expanding and has really just begun. So we actually think the timing is perfect for this.
And how many downloads do you have exactly?
So we're not breaking out downloads.
Okay.
Nobody necessarily. We're not downloads.
Downloads you can tell me.
Well, yeah, downloads basically you can sort of. There's a lot of speculation about who has how many of what. I think it was reported in an earnings call that we had 800,000 downloads. In fact, we have many more than that. We're closer to that million mark. The number of subscribers, nobody's breaking out as well because it's such early days. But what's amazing is if you look at the top grossing iPad apps, we are always in that top sort of 10, 12 top grossing. Some days we're number 2, some days we're number 12, some days we're number 5, some days we're number 3. And you know, they all sort of bounce around, you know, right up there with like the Smurfs, you know, and Angry Birds, because everyone competes with everyone on the iPad. But what's incredible though is that it's a news app. Right, one of the top grossing iPad apps, you know, on a sort of ongoing, you know, daily basis, is a news app. You know, it's something that it's only $1 a week, and it's something that people are paying for. And to us, that's incredibly encouraging.
Absolutely. I'd like to take time to take questions from the audience. If anyone wants to come up to the microphones, or just shout really loudly.
Well, we've got some shouters.
All right, we're going to take shower number 1.
All right, so the question is, how do we recruit some of our talent to come to us? And your example was Sasha Fair-Jones from The New Yorker. We showed him the product and the vision. I mean, look, it's a good question, and lets me sort of talk about some of the talent we have. Sasha Fair-Jones was at the New Yorker. He's the editor of our Arts and Life section. We also have Mike Nietzsche from AOL, who is formerly news editor there, who is a news editor on our side, and a lot of kind of talent that's come over to us. John Kilpatrick, who is our head of creative, who's also fabulous. I mean, a lot of it has to do with, I think, the vision of what it is we're trying to create, and the fact that we're doing it. I mean, we moved very, very quickly. We went from this is an idea to this is a product in market in 6 months. We went from this is a product in market to this is a national brand, with as much distribution as anyone in the space. 100 days after that, we're being very, very, very aggressive and very, 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 fast moving, and that's very attractive to editorial and developer talent as well.
Over here.
Hi, I'm Yessi from Startup Boulevard. Is there a particular reason why The Daily is not branded as a Fox News application? Why? It feels a little kind of downplayed. So
because it's not. Is the short answer?
Isn't it Rupert Murdoch's?
Yeah, no. So The Daily is owned by News Corporation, which owns Fox News and The Post, also Fox Broadcasting, which Glee and The Simpsons, also Fox Films. Avatar is the example that 20th Century Fox that I brought up earlier. News Corp is a large company that has many different organizations, editorial, content. HarperCollins is part of it as well. So we don't have Fox News content. We have our own original content. We don't carry content from Fox News or from the Wall Street Journal. I left out the Wall Street Journal. We also don't carry content from the Journal or the Post. It's sort of all kind of original and exclusive to the various platforms that they're on.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
I do remember the Fox News trucks outside the launch event.
Oh yeah, and BBC.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Over here.
So I'm curious, I come from the background in digital journalism, and it's the advertising on The Daily that's really compelling to me because, it can't just be measured, I assume, by clicks and impressions because it's an interactive experience. So I'm curious, when you tell advertisers about the rate of engagement with the actual ads, how deep do people tend to go? It seems like a pretty compelling ad model that, of course, any news website can't replicate quite the way that a tablet app does.
Right, so the question is, for those who didn't hear it, how do we report engagement to our advertisers and how do we work with them? Although I'm leaving out the part where you talked about how it was the most compelling advertising that you've seen in the space and all of that other stuff. But it's, thank you. It's an excellent question, and there's a couple of different ways in which we do that. One of them is impressions. I mean, for better or worse, impressions are how a lot of advertisers measure advertising, and we can measure impressions, and we report that to our advertisers who are happy with that. But there's other engagement metrics. How many people are clicking through links, how much time they're spending. People are spending a lot of time on the device, and we can report that back to advertisers as well. Also, when there's sort of endemically sponsored content, again, like Tiffany and the Royal Wedding, it's a great example of, these are the people that were in this section. This is how much time was spent with it. This is how much time was spent looking at your ad around it. There's both sort of branding lift as well as being able to click through and purchase. There are advertisers that are interested in how many people have downloaded my app, right? And we will report that. Different ads have different sort of metrics and different kind of engagement measures that are important to them. And so we try to work closely with each.
What percentage of your readers also click on ads? Can you share that?
Whole lot. All of them. No, actually, to be honest, a lot of that depends on the frequency with which the ads are updated themselves. What's fascinating is because the content changes every day, it's the ads that are, just to me and I think to our readers, the most interesting are ads that can also change and update every day. Sounds great on paper. Anyone who's, I've worked on the agency side, it's really hard, right? Because you're like, I'm not going to do a new, creative and go through all of that approvals, constantly. And so what we see are ads that can change content within them, right? Because we can push any ad at any time. The Macy's ad that I showed you actually already looks very different today. And the Gilt ad that has different content that comes up. I think actually the Fox Sports is doing a great job of being able to swap out real time. Also, HBO is doing a fantastic job. There's different creative that grabs people when they see it, because frequency, currency, newness is important on this platform, perhaps even more so than online.
I think that's all the time we have today, but Greg, thank you, and
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks very much. Thanks.